Hello, this is a tutorial on how to install MySQL, PHP, and Apache 2.2 server on a Microsoft Windows machine. Today is 6/28/2013, and this is going to be the most updated MySQL and PHP and Apache that you can get currently, because I'm going to download them as of right now. So I'm going to go directly to the web and show that they're being downloaded. So let me go ahead and bring them up here. Let me answer this just to get this out of my way. Alright, you can see this is today's date. So I'm going to go ahead and go to apache.org. And I'm going to go ahead and bring up, go to downloads. And let's download the Apache. So I need to go to the HTTPD folder for Apache under downloads. And you notice that it did kick me over to a mirror site. That's okay. There it is. HTTPD, and then you want to find the binaries folder because we're using a Microsoft product. And by the way, this will also work on any Microsoft machine, including Windows XP and Windows 8. And if possible, I'll go ahead and make a tutorial on doing this on Windows 8 as well. So what I want to do is download the HTTPD 2.2.22 Win32 x86 OpenSSL MSI download file. Looks like it's only about 6.1 megs. Let's go ahead and download that straight to our desktop here. And while that one's downloading, let's go ahead and open up another Internet Explorer here. Let me go ahead and change this default. Oh, wait, that's alright. Looks like I can type in it on this one. I want to go ahead and edit my default internet connection here to google.com and apply it. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and go to phpnet. And I'm going to go to downloads, and let's go ahead and it doesn't matter which one you click on. Even though I want to do the newest one, it's not quite available for a Microsoft product unless you compile it from source. So the one that we need to download is actually going to be the thread safe one, which is down here a little bit farther. I believe it's 5.3.2. You notice that the others don't have an installer. So we need to come down here to where there's an installer. You don't want to pick the non-thread safe, but you want to pick the thread safe version of it. This is the one you want to download. This is one of the newest ones, and this is version 5.3.26. Go ahead and download this version, PHP. Save that one to our desktop. And since that one's already downloading too, let's go ahead and open up one more web browser. And let's go to the mysql.com site. And let's go to the home page, and let's download the community server, which is general public license, community edition, which is down here on the bottom on the website. Again, this is mysql.com. And let's bring this down a little bit. Let's click on download community server. And you also want to download the one here that is the MSI installer for this one right here. So you want to click on this right here at the very top. This is the x86 and 64-bit version included, so click on the download tab for that one. The other ones are going to download just the files by themselves, and you'll have to set them up manually, which will be a pain. This way it's just going to install. You're using a Microsoft product, might as well use a Microsoft install program, or at least one that sets it up automatically. So we're going to be using the 32-bit version MSI. You want to download the larger file in this one, okay? So let's download. And you notice it says to log in, but if you pull the menu down here, it says no thanks, just start my download. Much easier to do. Let's save that to our desktop as well. No reason to keep this web page open. Nothing for this one as well. We got a couple of them downloading here. And we also need to download the .NET Framework 4.0. .NET Framework 4.0, here it is. Let's go ahead and do the web installer. As you notice here, one of the first ones that comes up on the list. So let's do the web installer. Go ahead and click on download. and say no thanks about downloading a software removal tool. Click left click on this and click download the file anyways, and it did pop up. Let's save it to our desktop here. And again, that's the web installer for the .NET framework, so of course it's gonna take a little bit to install. Looks like they're both done installing here. Good, and here comes the other one here, just about finishing up. Alright, awesome. Now let's install the .NET framework first. Alright, let's run it. This is going to take a second, so I'm going to go ahead and pause it. Alright, looks like it's all done. Looks like we got it all set up here. The .NET framework. Of course, it's asking me to restart, so let's restart. Alright, let's log in here. Almost logged in. And you notice that I'm running this in VM or VirtualBox, which is a free download on the web, general public license. You log in here. Alright, okay, so the first things first, let's run our MySQL after we've just run our .NET Framework update. Let's go ahead and run that. This is 5.6.12 MySQL Community Server, which is also general public licensing. Let's run this as well. And again, I'm running this on Windows 7 Professional. This is the trial version of it as well. This doesn't take dreadfully too long to install. So you can see the process here. I'll pause it as needed. Hoping this was going to be a little bit quicker. Alright, let's continue. Just about downloaded here. Like it's asking to install something here, so let's go through that. And it is still installing in the background. I didn't cancel it, so there it goes. Alright, it's asking to install it. Let's go ahead and install it now. Accept the user and license. Skip this one. We've just downloaded this version, so we're not going to go up and fetch anything from the internet. Let's go ahead and try the developer default. And we're not going to install any of these other options in here. So once it's going to go through, you're going to click on it. It's going to check that none of those are checked. So we're not going through any of those. Let's go ahead and install this little Visual C redistributable setup here. Okay. And let's go ahead and execute again. Execute again. You notice that all it's doing is getting rid of the ones that we didn't check. Although, you may have in instances, it kind of depends on your server if you're going to set those up. But this is a basic tutorial to get you up and running and using the MySQL server version 5.6.12. It doesn't take too long to load on here. It's just starting, but it's almost done. It's not really going to take that long. It is fairly quick. Alright, it's ready to resume here. Let's go ahead and go to the configuration final stages here. I'm going to leave it all default. Develop machine is fine. Click next. And my root password, I'm just going to make a test on mine. It is going to complain that it's weak. I'm going to say create a YouTube account here. And I'm just going to have this one as test by itself, just to make sure I create an account. It is complaining that they are weak, but this is for testing purposes to make sure that it's pretty easy. And yes, it is. Windows service name is fine. Mysql 5.6. That's okay. Let's click next on it and finish the install here, the last part of the configuration. Alright, looks like it's finished. Let's click next on it. Looks like it's configuring the last part of it here. Look at this. It's adding a firewall rule. Something I want to make sure of that you understand, that if you are going to make this into a server, that you need to turn your firewall off, or you need to create a rule for it. Let's click next on this, and it looks like it's finished. Awesome. Let's go ahead and check this out. If you're not familiar with making firewall rule sets, I suggest that you go to the firewall. So go to Start, go to Control Panel, and you want to go to, if you have it on small icons here, it takes a second for this to come up because it looks like it's just finishing and starting. Okay, now if it's on small icons like this under Category, which most of you have it defaulted to this when you first set up a system, you want to go to System and Security, and you want to go to Firewall. And definitely mine is turned off already. So just to make sure that if you're going to run this as a server, turn it off if you don't know how to poke holes in the firewall. Otherwise, learn how to open up the ports that are required. The server, HTTP, FTP, and then the 3306, I think is what the port that it wanted to run MySQL on. Is that right? Maybe we can see it in here. Yeah, it's 3306. So just so you know, you see MySQL is working. And the tried true method that I love doing MySQL is, you notice it added a command line interface here. In that command line interface, remember back when I entered in test as my password? I'm going to show that MySQL is up and running. Let's do something like show databases, and then put a semicolon at the end of it, and then there we go. And those are some of the ones that are the test ones that come with it. So just so you know, it does work. So now I'm going to go ahead, before I install PHP, I'm going to install Apache first. So let's go ahead and install that now. Let's click next on this, next again. And I'm just going to leave all this default. You can customize it. This just happens to be the way that mine's set up here. So I'm going to click next on it, and next again. And notice where it's installing these, because your configuration files are going to be in this folder. And we're going to have to edit also a document in the config folder to be able to change anything on the Apache server if needed. So I'm going to click next on it, and then go ahead and install it. Doesn't take too dreadfully long. It should come up here and ask me with a little bit more permission to install something, unless it just kind of goes through. Otherwise, I'll pause the video so you guys don't have to wait for this. There it goes. And it's installing. It's just really easy to set up. Especially on a Microsoft machine, this is pretty easy to set up. So Apache is now installed, and it is running. And you can see this little icon down here. It's actually already running. So what you need to do to make sure that PHP can update the file, which is located under Start, Computer, and that's going to be under the C drive, and it's going to be under Program Files, and see right here, Apache Software Foundation, Apache 2.2, and then right here, this comp file. This is what's going to be on here, but you can't update it with this other program if Apache is running, so you need to shut Apache down. So I'm going to go click on it, stop Apache. Notice that it's going to ask me this here, and I'm just going to make sure I want to take this out of here. Okay, by left click and dragging this down to my taskbar, you know, it's got a little red dot inside of it. I'll move this other thing out of here too. That dot means that it's stopped. So now what it's got to do is it's got to update that. So I'm just going to go ahead and make a quick shortcut to that folder here. And I'm going to make a shortcut to the HTT docs folder. So we can create a little tiny info or a PHP info document to prove that PHP is running. So let's go ahead and run PHP and run it. And out of preferences here, what I would suggest once you're running the PHP folder, :/PHP, and then click next. And I'm going to do the Apache 2.2 module. And it's Apache 2.2 module. Let's click next on it. And where it's asking me again is, remember where this document was, the comp file? As long as I didn't copy that, it looks like I did. Hold on here, let me see if I made a mistake of doing that. No, I didn't. It's just a copy of the folder. So what I needed to do is actually create a shortcut. So that is a typo on my part here. Hang on. I need to make a shortcut to those on the desktop. Create a shortcut. Take this one, create a shortcut. Whoops, so there we go, I fixed that. So let me go back here. So again, what it's looking for into this one is the program files, Apache Software Foundation, Apache 2.2, and it's looking for this comp folder. That's what it's looking for to find your Apache. And again, I want to stress to you, make sure that the Apache is not running, which means this little red X. So let's click OK on it. Click next again. And if you have other extensions you need to turn on, you can turn them on. I noticed that the MySQL one's already activated. That's really what was concerned about. Even the BZ zip is on there. So let me go ahead and click next and then install, and we're going to wait for it to authorize that. And it looks like I can go through on this. Looks like everything's working out okay. I don't see any issues here. Yeah, and it says it's completed. And once it says it's completed, if it tells you that it's updated or it's completed, then you know that it's actually updated the HTML doc or HTML-conf. But if it didn't, you can uninstall it and make sure you completely uninstall it, shut down your Apache server, and then you can reinstall it again. I know some of you out there don't like actually editing files and setting them up. This is a quick and easy way to fix it if you did it wrong and you forgot the Apache server was running. This is how you can get it to work. So now let's go ahead and see if Apache server will start up again. Let's start it. Looks like it started no problem. Alright, since now we have a direct shortcut to our HTML, let's create a test file to show that the Apache server is running and we have connections to MySQL. So let's go to the web here and look this up. So it's going to be a PHP info is what it's going to be. PHP info, what it is, let's look up, whoops, PHP. Okay, let's go through and look at this. Actually, I should have probably went to the PHP. This was, yep, and I paid for that, clicking on the wrong one. Let's go to the one right here where it says php.net. So you know it's coming from a good source. It's coming from the actual site that made it. Let's pull this down. And here we go. Here's the code that we want. Highlight it. Copy it. Let's come to our computer here. Right click on Notepad and run this as administrator, and I believe that we can update the document in that folder. So what I'm doing here again is I put in Notepad, it popped it up. Just don't click on it, right click on it and run as administrator. And let's go to File, Save As. Since we just copied and pasted that in there, let's see if we can go directly to that folder. If not, we'll have to drag it in there afterwards, but I believe this will do it. Let's go to the program files, Apache software, and then we're going to go to HTT docs, and let's change this down here where it says text, because it definitely won't work as that. It has to have an extension of PHP. Let's call it test.php. Alright, and let's go on here now. So we can see if everything, I see my Apache is running, so we can check it out now to see if it is. I'll open up a web browser on your computer, and let's put on there localhost /test.php and take a look at it, wait for it to pop up, and there it is. We have our PHP server, PHP version 5.3.26. listed what it's actually running on. This is the name of the PC that I called it to. It says it's Windows 7 Enterprise Edition, which is a trial version, and it tells you some of the information on there. Let's see if it tells us the Apache. There it is, the Apache version 2, and it's listing some of the information about my specific computer, my internet connection. And let's see on here. Yeah, it definitely is working. Let's see if I can see the MySQL portion of this in here and see if I can see the connector for it. There we go. No, was that MySQL? No, that was there it is. There's MySQL. You can see that it's enabled to be able to run MySQL code as well. So, thank you for joining us, and please give me some reviews back in there. If this tutorial was helpful, let me know about it. I'll continue to make more of them and help everybody out there. So, thank you for joining us. Thank you, and have a good day.